My brother got the restaurant, the one my father built from nothing, the one that had a line out the door every Sunday morning, the one our whole family was proud of. He got all of it: the equipment, the name, the loyal customers, the building. I got an old auto repair shop at the edge of town that hadn't opened in over 4 years. My brother didn't even try to hide his satisfaction. He laughed at the reading of the will. Not loudly, not rudely enough for anyone to call him out on it. Just a soft exhale through his nose, a half smile he shared with his wife across the table. The kind of laugh that says everything without saying a word. My name is Sarah. I'm 31 years old, and the night my father was up, I didn't answer him. I just drove home. My father's name was Robert. He spent 40 years building things with his hands. The restaurant was the crown jewel. Everyone agreed. But before the restaurant, before any of it, he had worked on cars. He told me once that the shop on Granger Road was the first piece of land he ever owned. He bought it when he was 26 with money he had saved working construction. He never talked about it much after the restaurant took off. I had almost forgotten it existed, until the lawyer read my name next to it. The reading happened on a Thursday afternoon in a conference room that smelled like old coffee and carpet cleaner. My brother Marcus sat across from me. His wife Claire sat beside him, her hand resting on top of his like they were posing for a photo. My aunt was there. 2 cousins. The family lawyer, Mr. Hendricks, read everything in a flat, professional voice that made even devastating news sound like a weather report. The restaurant, the equipment, the business accounts. Marcus. The house on Birchwood sold, proceeds split equally. The auto shop on Granger Road, the lot, and all structures on the property, Sarah. The room was quiet for exactly 2 seconds. Then Marcus cleared his throat. Claire touched her pearl earring. My aunt looked at the ceiling. Nobody laughed out loud. That was almost worse. On the drive back to my apartment, I kept both hands on the wheel and didn't turn on the radio. I just drove. My daughter was at school. I had 2 hours before pickup. I thought about stopping somewhere, sitting with a cup of coffee, letting myself feel whatever I was supposed to feel. I didn't stop. I just drove straight home and sat in my car in the parking lot for a long time. That evening, Marcus called. I let it ring. Then Claire called from her own number, which meant they were together deciding how to handle me. I let that ring too. Then Marcus texted. Hey, I know today was hard. Just want you to know the restaurant offer still stands. You can work there. Front of house, maybe manage the weekend brunch shift. Dad would have liked that. I read it 3 times. Then I put my phone face down on the counter. The next morning, I drove out to Granger Road. The shop sat back from the road behind a gravel lot that had more weeds than gravel. The sign above the bay doors had once said Murrow Auto in red letters. Half the letters were faded to nothing. The bay doors were padlocked. One of the front windows had a crack running corner to corner, held together by nothing but luck. I stood outside it for a while before I unlocked the side door with the key Mr. Hendricks had given me. The smell hit me first. Motor oil, rust, and something damp underneath it all. The lifts were still there, 2 of them, old hydraulic ones, coated in grease. Shelving along the walls held empty cans, a few forgotten hand tools, a calendar from 2019 still hanging crooked by the office door. The office itself was a small room in the back corner, a metal desk, a cracked vinyl chair, a filing cabinet with 1 drawer stuck open. I stood in the middle of the shop floor and looked around. This was it. This was what my father left me while my brother got 40 years of built equity and a business that cleared 6 figures a year. I sat down on an overturned milk crate and let myself feel the full weight of it. Not the sadness of losing my father, that was a different kind of heavy, one I had been carrying for weeks. This was something else. This was the specific sting of being underestimated by someone who was supposed to know you best. I stayed in that shop for almost 2 hours. Not doing anything useful, just sitting with it. Then I noticed something. The filing cabinet with the stuck drawer, I had glanced at it and looked away, but something made me look again. The drawer that was open held nothing interesting. Old invoices, a dried-up pen, a rubber band that crumbled when I touched it. But the bottom drawer, the one that was fully closed and latched, had something different about it. A small combination lock. The kind you'd find on a gym locker. Shiny, not rusted. New. Everything else in that shop was coated in the residue of years. That lock was not. I stood in front of it for a moment. I didn't know the combination. I didn't even know why my father would put a new lock on an old filing cabinet in a shop nobody had visited in years. I pulled out my phone and called Mr. Hendricks. He answered on the second ring. Mr. Hendricks, this is Sarah Morrow. My father left me the shop on Granger Road. I'm here now. There's a locked filing cabinet with a combination lock that looks new. Was there anything in the estate documents about it? A combination or a note? There was a pause. I heard papers moving. Actually, he said slowly, yes. There was a sealed envelope your father left with instructions that it only be given to you after you had physically visited the property. He was quite specific about that. Would you like me to read you what's inside? My throat felt tight. Yes. Please. More paper moving. Then the sound of an envelope opening. It's a 4-digit number, Mr. Hendricks said. And a note. The number is 0914. The note says, and I'm reading this exactly September 14th, the day you were born. I knew even then. I had to sit down again. September 14th. My birthday. I knelt in front of the cabinet and turned the dials. 0, 9, 1, 4. The lock opened in my hand. Inside the drawer were 3 things: a thick manila folder, a smaller envelope sealed with tape, and a USB drive. I took everything to the metal desk and sat down. The manila folder was full of documents. City correspondence, mostly. Letters with official letterheads, engineering assessments, survey maps. I am not someone who reads documents like this for a living. I had to go slowly, rereading sentences 2 and 3 times to understand what I was looking at. The Granger Road corridor. Proposed commercial expansion. Phase 2 of the city's southern infrastructure plan. I pulled out the survey map. The shop property was outlined in blue, and running directly along the back edge of the lot, extending all the way to the rear boundary, was a thick orange line labeled Proposed Access Connector Primary Commercial Artery. I didn't fully understand it yet, but my heart was already moving faster than my brain. I opened the smaller envelope. Inside was a letter. Handwritten. My father's handwriting slightly cramped, the letters leaning right, the way it always looked when he wrote quickly because he had too many thoughts to slow down. Sarah, if you're reading this, then you went to the shop. Good. I knew you would. I need to explain something to you, and I need you to hear it the way I mean it, not the way it might look. I did not give Marcus the better thing. I gave Marcus the thing that looks better. The restaurant is a good business. It will take care of him. But it is also a business that requires constant work, constant staff, constant customers. It has a ceiling. I have watched that ceiling for 15 years. The Granger Road property has no ceiling. 3 years ago, the city began planning the southern commercial corridor expansion. The access road they're building will run directly along the back of our lot. When that road opens, Granger Road becomes a primary connector between the interstate and the new commercial district. The value of that land will not be what it is today. It will be something else entirely. I have had 3 separate offers from developers in the last 2 years. I turned all of them down. I was waiting for the right time, and I was waiting for you. You are patient. You are careful. You read before you sign. You think before you speak. Those are the things that protect money. Marcus spends before he earns. I love your brother, but I know my children. The USB drive has everything: the city planning documents, the development correspondence, the appraisals, the offers. There is one company in particular, Hargrove Land Partners, that has contacted me 4 times. Their last offer was significant, but that was before the road approval. The road was approved 6 weeks ago. Their next offer will be higher. Do not tell anyone about this until you have spoken to a real estate attorney, not the family lawyer. Someone new. Someone who works only for you. I love you. I always knew. Dad. I folded the letter very carefully along the original creases. I held it with both hands for a long time. The shop was completely quiet except for the occasional sound of a car passing on the road outside. He knew. He planned every single piece of this. I thought about the will reading, about Marcus's quiet exhale, Claire's hand on his arm. My aunt looking at the ceiling. I thought about the text message. You can work there. Front of house. Maybe manage the weekend brunch shift. I thought about being 31 years old and being offered a brunch shift at the business that should have at least partially been mine. Then I opened the USB drive on my phone using the adapter in my bag. The files were organized and clearly labeled. My father had been thorough in a way I had never fully appreciated when he was alive. Engineering surveys. City council meeting minutes. A folder labeled development inquiries with 11 separate documents inside. Hargrove Land Partners alone had sent 4 letters over 2 years, each one more detailed than the last. Their most recent correspondence was dated 8 months ago. The number they had offered at that point made me close my eyes for a moment after I read it. And that was 8 months ago, before the road was approved. I sat in that office for a very long time. I did not call Marcus. I did not call my aunt. I did not call anyone in my family. I thought about my father's instructions, someone new, someone who works only for you, and I did exactly that. I searched on my phone, found a real estate attorney named Patricia Owens whose firm specialized in commercial land transactions, and I called her office before I left the building. Her assistant said she had an opening Thursday morning. I took it. I spent the next week saying very little. Marcus texted twice more. The second message had shifted in tone. Hey, have you thought any more about what you want to do with the shop? If it's too much to deal with, I can help you figure out options. Might be easier to just sell the lot and move on. I know someone who buys commercial properties, as is. I read that message standing in my kitchen while my daughter ate breakfast across the table. I looked at her for a moment. Then I put my phone away and did not respond. The meeting with Patricia Owens lasted almost 2 hours. I brought everything: the manila folder, the USB drive, the letter. She read through the city documents carefully, asked me several precise questions, and then sat back in her chair. Your father was right, she said. The road approval changes the value profile of this property significantly. This is no longer a distressed commercial lot. This is a primary access parcel in a developing commercial corridor. The difference in value between what this was 18 months ago and what it is right now is substantial. She paused. The difference between what it is right now and what it will be in 12 months is also substantial. I asked her what I should do. She told me not to sell yet. She told me to respond to Hargrove Land Partners and indicate that the property had transferred to a new owner and that I would be reviewing all existing inquiries. She told me that when developers know a property has changed hands, they often come back with updated offers because they assume a new owner is less informed. She told me to let them assume that. Let them underestimate you, she said. For now. I smiled at that. The family dinner happened because my aunt organized it. She did this sometimes called everyone together under the guise of keeping the family connected, which mostly meant sitting around a table while Marcus talked about the restaurant and everyone else nodded. It was at my aunt's house, a Sunday in October, about 3 weeks after I had spoken with Patricia. By that point, I had already been contacted by 2 development firms in addition to Hargrove. Patricia had reviewed all 3 inquiries. Hargrove's revised offer, which arrived by email to Patricia's office, was more than double their previous number. The road had changed everything, exactly the way my father said it would. I had not signed anything. I was not ready to, but I knew what I had. I drove to my aunt's house. I brought my daughter. I wore a plain gray sweater and I brought a bottle of wine because that's what you bring. Marcus and Claire were already there when we arrived. Claire was in the kitchen helping my aunt arrange things. Marcus was in the living room with 2 cousins, talking with the easy confidence of a man who believes the world has sorted itself out in his favor. He hugged me at the door. It was the kind of hug that has an agenda. Good to see you, he said. You look tired. I'm fine, I said. We sat down to dinner. The conversation moved the way it usually moved the restaurant. A new menu Marcus was developing. A catering contract Claire had landed through the restaurant. My aunt asked my daughter about school. One cousin talked about a home renovation. Normal enough. The kind of dinner where you can sit quietly and let it wash over you. Then Marcus set his fork down and looked at me with the expression he uses when he is about to be generous. So, Sarah, what's the plan? With the shop. The table got slightly quieter. Still figuring it out, I said. I ask because, he said, leaning forward slightly. Claire and I were talking. If you want to unload it, we have a contact. Commercial properties guy. He's bought a few distressed lots in that area. Wouldn't be much. Honestly, the land isn't worth a lot out there, but it would be clean. Quick, close. Cash. Done. Claire nodded. My aunt looked sympathetic. That whole corridor is kind of a dead zone, Marcus continued. I drove by last week, actually. The lot is a mess. I don't know what Dad was thinking leaving it to you, honestly. It's like he wanted to give you something without giving you anything. He said it gently. That was what made it land the way it did. I set my own fork down. I appreciate that, I said. But I'm not selling. Marcus tilted his head. Sarah, I've been in contact with some developers, I said. A few different firms, actually. For what? That lot isn't. The city approved the Southern Corridor Road expansion. I said, 6 weeks before Dad passed away. The access connector runs along the back boundary of the property. Granger Road becomes a primary connector to the new commercial district once construction is complete. Silence. The lot isn't a dead zone anymore, I said. It's a primary access commercial parcel. Marcus looked at Claire. Claire looked at me. Patricia, she's my real estate attorney. She's been reviewing the offers. There are 3 firms that have submitted inquiries. I paused. The most recent number is about what the restaurant building is worth, before accounting for what the land will be worth once the road opens. My aunt put her hand over her mouth. Dad knew, I said quietly. He knew when he wrote the will. He had been in contact with developers for 2 years, and he turned all of them down because he was waiting. He left me a letter explaining everything. He left it locked in the cabinet in the back office with a combination that was my birthday. The table was completely still. Marcus's jaw moved slightly. No words came out. He didn't give me the lesser thing, I said. He gave me the thing that looked lesser. There's a difference. Claire set her wine glass down very carefully. I'm not angry, I said, and I meant it. I'm not here to make anyone feel bad. I just wanted you to know. Because it matters. Dad knew what he was doing. He always knew what he was doing. I picked my fork back up. My daughter looked at me across the table. She was old enough to sense that something important had just happened, not old enough to understand exactly what. I smiled at her, and she smiled back, a little uncertain, a little proud, without knowing why. Marcus did not say much for the rest of dinner. He was not rude about it. He was just quiet in a way I had never seen from him before. The easy confidence was still there in his posture, but something behind his eyes had shifted, recalculated. After dinner, while people were moving to the living room and my aunt was making coffee, Marcus found me in the hallway. I didn't know, he said. I know you didn't. Dad never told me any of that. He told me in a letter, I said. After I went to the shop, after I sat in that office and felt everything you probably expected me to feel. He planned it that way. Marcus was quiet. He wasn't punishing you, I said. He gave you something real. The restaurant is real. He knew you'd take care of it. He just also knew that I would take care of something different. Something that needed patience. Something that needed someone who wouldn't panic and sell too fast. Marcus looked at the floor. Then he looked at me. I told you to sell it. You did, I said. He nodded slowly. That was all. I drove home that night with my daughter asleep in the backseat, the highway dark and quiet, the city lights coming up in the distance. I thought about my father sitting in that office on Granger Road, writing that letter. I thought about him choosing the combination lock on purpose, setting the dial to my birthday, leaving the instructions with the lawyer, telling Mr. Hendricks to wait until I had physically been inside the building. As if he knew I would need to sit in that place first, feel the weight of it first, before the letter would mean what it was supposed to mean. He was right. He was always right about things like that. The following Thursday, I had a second meeting with Patricia. We talked through the offers in detail. Hargrove Land Partners was the most serious. Their team had been patient, professional, and consistent. Patricia had done a full review of their development history. They were legitimate, well-capitalized, and their timeline aligned with the city's road construction schedule. We spent 3 hours at her conference table going through every line. I did not take the first offer. I did not take the second one either. Patricia had told me early on that the first offer from a developer is rarely the real offer. It is a test. It is them finding out how informed you are. She helped me draft a counteroffer that demonstrated, clearly and calmly, that I understood exactly what the land would be worth once the road opened. That I was not in a hurry, that I had options. Hargrove came back within a week. Their third number made Patricia raise her eyebrows. "That's a serious offer," she said. "Is it the right one?" I asked. She looked at me. "Only you can answer that." I thought about my father's letter. The right time. I thought about my daughter's school tuition, which I had been managing on a teacher's salary for 3 years. I thought about the apartment I rented with a window that wouldn't seal properly in winter. I thought about what it would mean to have not just security, but choices. I thought about what Patricia had said in our first meeting. Don't sell everything. Keep a stake if you can. Let the development work for you long term. I told Patricia I wanted to counter with a structure that kept me as a minority equity partner in the development rather than a pure land sale. She smiled. "Your father raised you right." The negotiation took 6 more weeks. During that time, I told no one. Not my aunt, not my cousins, not Marcus. Not out of cruelty, simply because Patricia had advised it, and because my father had advised it. And because I had learned something sitting in that greasy office on Granger Road on a morning when I thought I had been left with nothing. I had learned that silence is a form of patience, and patience is a form of power. The final agreement was signed on a Tuesday morning in Patricia's conference room. Land sale plus minority equity stake in the development. I would receive income from the commercial tenants once the corridor opened. A percentage that would grow as the development grew. I sat in my car afterward and cried for a while. Not from sadness, just from the sheer accumulated weight of the last several months, the grief, the will reading, Marcus's quiet exhale, the text about the brunch shift. The night I sat on a milk crate in a dark auto shop wondering what I had done to deserve the wrong side of my father's love. He was not giving me the wrong side of his love. He was giving me the right side of it. I called my daughter's school and told them I would be picking her up early. We went to the diner on 5th Street, the one she likes because they let you put your own toppings on pancakes. She got strawberries and whipped cream and approximately too much syrup. I got coffee and watched her and thought about my father and felt something that was not quite peace, but was moving steadily in that direction. "Mom," she said, her fork halfway to her mouth. "Are things okay now?" I looked at her. "Yeah," I said. "Things are okay now." She nodded very seriously, the way she does when she is deciding whether to believe something. Then she went back to her pancakes. I got the lease paperwork for a new apartment the following week. Top floor, 2 bedrooms, windows that sealed properly, a small balcony. I signed it on a Friday afternoon and picked up the keys on a Saturday morning and stood in the empty living room while my daughter ran from room to room, checking everything. I did tell Marcus eventually. Not everything, not the numbers, not the terms. Just the basic shape of it. That it had worked out. That Dad had been right. He listened without interrupting, which was unusual for him. At the end, he said, "I'm glad, Sarah. I mean that." He sounded like he did. We are not back to where we were before the will reading. I am not certain we ever will be entirely, but we are somewhere. Something honest, if not entirely comfortable. A few months ago, I drove down Granger Road for the first time since signing the papers. The gravel lot was gone. In its place, heavy construction equipment sat on freshly graded earth. Orange fencing ran the perimeter. The old bay doors had been demolished. A project sign near the road showed a rendering of the finished development, a row of commercial buildings, a wide paved access road, the kind of entrance that draws traffic from a highway. I pulled over and looked at it for a moment through the windshield. The old Morrow auto sign was gone. My father's shop was gone. But the land was still there, and it was becoming something, and part of it was mine. Not because I had fought for it, or demanded it, or convinced anyone of my worth. Because my father had watched me for 31 years, had read me the way he read a piece of land looking past the surface, past what was visible to everyone else, down to the structure underneath. He had given me the strongest thing he had. He had trusted me to find out why. I pulled back onto the road and drove toward home.